Are we doing the preamble or?
I mean,
up to you.
Yeah,
this is your episode.
You're the captain here, man.
Okay, well, fuck SCOTUS. Hello, and welcome to Isn't It Obvious. I'm your host for today's episode, Micah. I'm joined as always by Philip and Sera. My topic for today is, isn't it obvious that abortion, if made illegal, should then make any religious exemptions to medical care that lead to the death of a child also illegal?
Alright, you had to use an example for this one.
Yep.
So John Travolta, because he's a Scientologist, ignores actual medical doctors, and he tried to pray away his sickness that led to his child's premature death.
Yes.
And he suffered no consequences from that by refusing medical health care led to the direct death of his child.
Yes.
That's different than an abortion, though, because
No, but abortion is now being made illegal.
Yes, I know.
Because of religious exemptions. But because of that, the religious exemption to treat your child after they've been born should also be made illegal.
But the ruling that, making abortions illegal is not a religious exemption. It's just a religious decision, which has no place in fucking government. Whereas a religious exemption to refuse care is a little different. In fact, it's like the opposite. It's like the opposite. It's still horrible, and it should absolutely be illegal. Yes, Phil.
So, to our dear listeners that will listen to this episode in sometime in the summer of 2023, keep in mind that we're experiencing the live horror that is of our judicial
By the time this is released,
decisions.
we're going to have New Canada and Gilead.
Well, I mean...
Gilead, whatever it is.
I like Gilead.
Gilead. Okay, so I do agree with you, Micah, that I believe based off the 80-page report that was leaked or something, or, justification about their terrible decision, there is no right to privacy. Now, if you do the original Bill of Rights, I mentioned this in the podcast before, the ninth one was that, in layman terms, is, hey man, we're just making this shit up, but there's probably a bunch of other rights that we didn't talk about here, but you guys have, so we're cool, right? And so the way that Justice Alito had said is, if it's not enumerated, if it's not in the Constitution as a right under a new number, then go fuck off. It's not in this, in this project charter. And I feel like, well, what about the number 9 one, right? Like we have, so you're basically saying that unless these rights are written down on a piece of paper, we don't have that right. And like, well, yeah, but we just basically said that privacy doesn't exist, and that was the precedence for this, and fuck you. So like the privacy aspect of your case of John Travolta is you don't have a right to your own actions. You don't have a private right to make a decision. You will be charged because the death of a child means that you got fucked. So go ahead and we're going to criminalize that behavior. But we won't at the federal level. We'll just let the states do what they please, democratically speaking. But we know what they will do because the people will then, make their voices heard.
Wait,
wink.
Is it a state's right to ban all religion? Because the government is not making a law that is supporting or denying a single religion. You're denying all religions. Doesn't that kind of go in with the magic idea of, sure, you have protection of, but if there's something that affects everything, you're still affected by it?
No, I don't think that would fly.
Why? How is that violating the First Amendment?
That's not what the government does. Like they don't.
Talk to Florida.
You can't ban all religions. I mean, you can.
Why couldn't you?
You could.
It's
not gonna fly.
Well,
in America,
that's the thing.
Is what I'm saying.
I'm going to talk a lot on this episode. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, didn't they try that in China? Where
they're carrying it out. That's why the Uyghurs are in death camps.
That's what I'm saying.
Re-education.
I said try, right? I said tried. I'm pretty sure.
They're still in the midst of trying.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I said trying.
Trying sounds like they're failing, whereas executing sounds like they're doing a great job getting to conclusion.
Not so much at Christians, but whoo, they are. Yeah, taking it to the Muslims.
The federal level has banned religions before, though, because they have some bullshit test that they would say that it's in the state's best interest that this religion does not exist. And it's because you have to outweigh the religious needs versus the not the requirements, but the
tenets.
Yes,
of the religion.
The interest of the government's ability to function.
Or that Church of Latter-day Saints one where they were marrying 13-year-olds.
Yeah,
the one that.
Well, no, they had their conflicts. No, but then they still had their privacy, and they weren't outlawed. That's why they had their compound.
The one I think was in the 18th or late 18th, early 19th century one was the South American or Central American,
The suicide cult?
not a suicide cult, a human sacrifice, because that was part of the cultural.
And the regular, normal, sane people are like, no.
No, you
You
can't.
This is antithetical to society.
Right. It's like this
So-
is this is against the best interests of the United States government
Yeah.
and the people that it represents. To
It's not even
continue
just the
that.
government; it's just the people.
They have this test that says we can't allow this to happen because we can use that as a rationale, and they can go to a bunch of shitty British common laws to kind of like sprinkle that in there, pretending it's good.
What you see here, Judge, this law from 1632
Yep.
is still relevant today.
That's actually kind of what they, yeah. And so they're like about the cult that would basically do human sacrifices. They're like, yeah, that's bullshit. That ain't gonna go. Like, well, so you banned a religion? It's like, of course we're gonna fucking ban that religion. So it's like, okay, that's that makes sense.
Well, isn't that a reason why? No, I'm probably just totally making that up. But it would totally make sense if post-Reconstruction South, the local municipalities would have something against animal sacrifice that is prominent in voodoo from the Caribbean religions.
And I think it was New Jersey. There was a case where there was a cult that was going to do animal sacrificing of pigs, like live ones, and they weren't like trolls. And then the local government there, the authorities said, "Yeah, you guys are all arrested because you guys are assholes." And seriously, they challenged it into the court. Went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they're like,
Your Honors, you have to understand that through sacrificing this swine, they were being assholes.
Doesn't the Jewish faith also have something where they like kill chickens or something?
yeah, there's a certain way for it to be kosher.
No, but I mean, there's like an actual, I don't know, like an event or something like where they killed chickens. I could have sworn I was.
Whatever, just Alex Jones this. Say it's true. Just run with it.
So
Let's work in some blood libel here too.
I was gonna say, I don't think it's just the fact that it needs to be killed in a certain way to be kosher. I think there was like a specific like date, like it was like a holiday or something, or an event or something with chicken murdering.
And I'm sure there's a lot of
sacrificing.
But isn't chicken murdering?
Slaughtering.
Yeah, but is that murder?
No, that's
I mean,
okay.
they're gonna probably eat it anyway, but it's like super. Well, whatever.
So there was this kind
know
of.
enough about it.
I think the court case actually was really upsetting because the local authorities they found this so disgusting that they said, yeah, we're gonna ban it in this town or city or whatever. And it went to the Supreme Court, and then it was they found it to be unconstitutional back in that time. And they said, well, you can't just fucking ban something you don't like, your local municipality. Like, what you should have...
Oh, they were 150 years too early.
Right. Like, what you should have done,
Prize.
you dumbasses, is say that you didn't get the permits for it. Like, that's how you get around the SCOTUS loophole poophole. Like, this is what you do. And they're like, oh, shoot. So then they got the lawsuit and they lost because you can't just outright ban something like that. But you can definitely say, hey, you're arrested.
If you want to do this ridiculous thing, we're going to make you jump through a shit ton of hoops.
Where's your permits that allow you to do that? You forgot to fill out section C4-8. Oh, well, now you guys have 4 years in prison.
Oh, wait, hold on. Is that C4? Eight of them?
Well, that's triplicate for each one of them, and you guys didn't get the 50 signatures required, so see you in hell, boys. Like, that's how they're able to do this kind of, like, gamemanship for legal laws that allow them to prevent things that they find disgusting. So, sometimes it obviously makes a lot of sense, and other times it's total fucking bullshit, because the recent, at least draft one of the papers that were leaked by Justice Alito was, I'm just making bullshit as I go. And so I will just say precedent doesn't matter anymore. I can just fucking make up the rules as I please. It's Calvin Ball SCOTUS time.
So
that's
now,
actually really scary.
Can I now pivot to my actual topic?
Sure.
We should redo laws every 30 years, across the board. Get rid of the chaff, set a new precedent every 30 years.
Nope.
Yes.
No.
Whatever's good sticks around, whatever's bad falls like chaff.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
No one's going to do that. No one's going to do that.
I disagree.
No, people don't
If you make lawyers' jobs easier, they will be fucking on board. If they do not have to have the wall of law books because any law ever made in American history is law.
I think precedent is important, though.
Not today.
It's true. It doesn't feel like it, does it?
And not when they're gonna find Ogerford?
Yeah,
Oberfeld.
Oberfeld.
Yeah. They're gonna find that unconstitutional as well because the Constitution doesn't say anything about same-sex marriage. They're going to use the same bullshit that this is going to start to take away a bunch of civil rights.
Well, to be honest, like the previous courts that took away bullshit, like Gore versus Bush.
God, I wish
Like,
it was Al versus Gore.
I wish it was too. The funny part was
We got
that
such a boring president, but we only would have invaded Afghanistan.
I know.
And maybe made it better.
okay, well the idea.
I said maybe.
But
If it's been 20 years and we wouldn't have gone to Iraq, I think that's a net good.
yeah.
I don't know about that.
The problem.
Hard to say.
Syria fell into the Civil War.
I do agree with you, Micah, but my problem with it is
The dominoes stem from foreign policy from like mid-90s.
Go on, Phil.
2000 SCOTUS was like, hey, know that we're bullshitting you guys, but we're going to at least make it look like we put the effort in. Like, now is complete fucking, like, bonkerville. Like, I don't understand in any type of legal sense, and I'm not a lawyer, but, like, the ability to ruin precedent is kind of like the magic trick that makes SCOTUS a thing. Like, you can't just be able to reverse a decision because you just feel like it that day. It ruins the complete illusion that there's people in control.
It takes 10 years and about 3 seat appointments to do that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Which, if you look at what happened in 2000, you had Clarence Thomas taking over for Thurgood Marshall in like 92. Then you had to go with the center of the road during Clinton's term because he wouldn't want to upset the Republicans.
I think the problem I really fucking don't understand here is that in the early 20th century, I think it was like Justice Berger, he said that the only issue that we need to really address from the Supreme Court is to make it look like a legitimate outfit. Because all their powers are fucking magical Christmas fairyland. Like, no one really... People believe in it just like money because people in 9 robes say it is. And people are brainwashed to thinking that this makes sense. So all of their legal arguments have to be grounded in some anchor somewhere, which is why they go to like fucking 16th century common law Britain style, because they gotta fucking at least cite sources. But the latest travesty for this one here is that in its paper, the way that Alito said was 2 things that are fucking terrible. 1, anything that is not within American traditions may be removed from precedent since it doesn't follow the time it takes to really cement in our culture. Something's bullshitty like
so
that.
that is laying the precedent that the 14th Amendment can't be overturned in terms of working those that are imprisoned.
Correct.
Like slaves.
Well,
so we set in that precedent to save that future charge.
Yes. And so it's like, wait, where are you coming up with this magical fucking bullshit? Because now...
Sounds like bullshit to me.
Now you can... Okay, so now you're the arbiter of saying that what is traditional American values? Like, how far are you going to go? So apparently, since the 1970s, that's not good enough? Or 60s?
The traditional American values are whatever white men landowners say.
Basically, this is what it is. And so now it's all... There's no more disguise. There's no even attempt to be able to pretend that they're trying to...
On account that the 3 justices appointed all lied to their congressional oversights, saying that it's established law. I have no reason to change this. There's no precedent to change it.
I mean, you can see Chief Justice Roberts clearly fucking not signing this off because in the past 2 decades, he pivoted from being a conservative judge to like a judge that wants to preserve his legacy. Like I mentioned, Chief Justice Berger.
Because of that, he is now giving the illusion that the court is still balanced because he's siding with the super minority of liberals.
Yeah, but he fucked himself over because if you are on the right, like if you are on the winning side, guess who gets to write the rationale? That is going to be the most senior person. So if Chief Justice Roberts said, you know what, I'm going to actually say that abortion should belong to the state, then he can craft that rationale in a way that explains that viability or maybe a new test can be created or some other means of explaining why we just did a fucking 180 and ruined my whole legacy as a Chief Justice.
But Alito isn't, well, even though it's a draft opinion, he's not the senior conservative.
Bingo. That's why we know that Chief Justice Roberts isn't in this.
No,
because
Thomas has more experience on the bench than Alito does.
But he can have first rights of refusal. So like the idea is that you're asking a judge to write their rationale because that is the new precedent, and they're going to make a new test about why they're going to be able to overturn something or consider it modified. And Chief Justice could have said, okay, fine, I know you fuckers are going to do this. I will join your side only so that I can craft it in a way that makes fucking sense. But it never can make sense because his whole idea of magical fairy thinking land about why we listen to 9 people in robes is all about the idea of anchoring to precedent, and he just fucking broke it. So he fucked himself over. And so then now Alito is crafting this draft 1, which even me as a non-lawyer who has to read stupid contracts are like, this is fucking bullshit.
But is this as a leak? You're starting to get red.
I am very angry.
But is this leak put out by a clerk of Alito's or Thomas's in order to make sure that either Gorsuch or Kavanaugh, who might be flaking on this, now have to seem more committed?
Yep.
Because they are accurately judged to want this to happen, but maybe don't want that on their record.
Right.
Kind of thing so early.
You cannot, one of the things that the previous Chief Justice's legacies were is that you don't change your opinion based off popular demand. Right, so like people back in...
He made that very clear in his opinion.
Well, like one of those cases of...
We know what we're doing isn't popular, but we should not bow down to popular opinion. Well, it's like, the fuck, man?
Plessy versus Ferguson was like one of the things they teach us at school, right? Mm-hmm. And so the idea was that a lot of people really didn't like that decision at that time. But, you know, his idea wasn't the majority of the people who don't like, that wasn't the point. The point is that you shouldn't be swayed by a bunch of people that don't like it. You should only be able to call strikes and balls based off the...
That's right. If a slave from the South comes to a state that doesn't have slavery, that person is still a slave. Duh.
Well, I mean, it's all obviously bullshit, but the idea was that at least you pretend it wasn't. And everyone kind of believed in this, like, thinking that it was not total bullshit. Maybe there's some level of authenticity somewhere there, but I'm not going to care because I'm going to just eat popcorn. But now it's clearly that all the disguise is gone, and we can just see the rot, which is, wow, it's completely politicized, and we're no different than an Iranian government where you'd have one supreme Ayatollah leader that says, this is what we follow now. Like, they have a parliament and they have a president and a prime minister, I presume, and then they also have the supreme leader. Mm-hmm. And like, what's the difference between that asshole and 9 other assholes? Well, or 5 assholes, I guess, in this case. Like, they just make shit up because they have the scripture that they can read and only they can understand it. And I just feel like, whoa. So to your point, because I'm getting really angry about this and I'm talking a lot, I think that anything now is game. Okay, so even the Loving versus Virginia, which allows me to, as an interracial marriage, is now on the chopping blocks because it's based off the concept of the universal right to privacy, which is not recognized anymore.
Which is going to be great. Oh, wait, hold on. Is this all an elaborate ruse of Clarence Thomas finding a way to divorce Virginia? It's just taken 25 years and upending an entire legal system for a country in order for him to actually divorce his wife?
Henry VIII, this guy's just he just fucking did it to us, and we're all blind.
He married for political expediency and found the anchor he was chained to, and just. I bet you're wondering how I got into this situation. It's tough being a judge.
Record scratches. That's me in the corner there. You would not believe how I got to this place, but let me tell you, 20 years ago.
Worst.
Let me tell you, this man from the south side of Memphis has worked his way up to the highest court in land to make sure that no woman anywhere can seek a legal abortion.
Well, not necessarily. According to 5 of the justices, you can just go and vote for it because it's a democratic right to be able to recognize that you have human, autonomy over your body. Oh, you don't? You don't have human autonomy. I'm sorry. I guess that's something we just have to legislate.
So this goes back to my original faint point of if a parent refuses medical intervention in order to save their child under religious grounds, that should be in the same level of illegality as an abortion.
Yes. But it's also only because everything now can be illegal for any reason whatsoever without any sense of, rhyme or reason or...
All right, let's get working on Purge Day.
Why not? The thing is that I'm really flippant with, sorry, Micah, is that, I mentioned Lovin versus Virginia because that personally affects me, but it's kind of crazy that this law, affects 50% of our population, and it's holy shit. That is just nutso-land.
Probably more than 50%.
Yep.
The people who have daughters in this, judicial case, what are they thinking?
They don't care. They only care about their sons.
That's true.
That's why it's daughter 1, daughter 2, daughter 4.
We don't matter.
We don't talk about daughter 3.
The issue, I think, is that
daughter 1, stop.
Maybe I don't even know if that's the issue. It's if you're so cynical enough, you can clearly see that the people who have cases where they don't want their children's rights to be rescinded. Well, that's fine. They'll just buy them an airplane ticket to, United Kingdom or something.
Abortion is still going to be fine for the rich people in this country.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's going to be more of an anchor to the poor, and then they're going to cut into social welfare programs.
Yep.
That's going to lead to a lot more strain along the lower income strata of this country.
But now I have an ethical question for you, Micah. Because I'm just pivoting this straight back to my rage. What would you do then if you're now basically a second-class citizen? Would you stay in this country?
No, violence.
Well, yes, right. I mean, this is...
No. Straight up, women should become more violent.
Well, I'm not advocating violence in a podcast, but I can certainly understand if violence does erupt.
Hypothetically speaking, if the Supreme Court goes through, and with their Mississippi versus Planned Parenthood, is that what this case is predicated on?
Yeah, I believe so.
So if that ends up being struck down and Roe v. Wade is no longer established law, then yes, every woman who believes that abortion is a personal choice and a bodily autonomous right, fucking get a gun and shoot a dude who is pro-life.
Well,
I am super for that, hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetically speaking, if this did occur, I would be like, yeah, that's part of the risk table, right? If you push people to the edge where they're now
fucking
second class.
Kid Rock concerts turn into murder pits, I am for it, hypothetically.
Hypothetically, I would understand why that had occurred.
So I kind of want to, my question is what's a reasonable and rational way to protest this
In a world of irrationality, there is none.
So
and
no.
is rational.
That's not an answer though.
Yes, it is.
That's not a fucking.
Yes,
that's not the answer I'm looking for, Micah. Not the. You don't get to be rational about this. Or
no, it's not you don't get to. It's you can't be in the face of irrationality.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What can you? I'm not gonna get a fucking gun and I'm not gonna go fucking shoot someone over this.
Of course. This podcast never would advocate violence of any kind.
But for realsies, though, I would never
advocate that hypothetically.
But we would only say, I understand if it could happen that way, and it's that's a risk.
But for real, I would never do that.
Uh-huh.
But what can women do? That's... Yes, Phil. Or what can men also, I guess men are also going to be affected by this. Absolutely.
Yeah. People who have, I don't know,
anyone
wives and daughters.
Anyone with a friend who is not a male.
Anyone who's just a human being that's just seeing their rights being stripped away before their very eyes.
Yeah, anyone who cares about other people at all.
If I was a civic leader, and I of course would never advocate for violence for something that's severely screwed up, of course that would be just terrible, but... Hypothetically, the right response I would do if I had a strong enough following would be to do basically, I am not going to work for a week. In fact, it might be I'm not going to work this month.
A general protest could do a lot. Especially in instilling the growing class divide that we have, that a lot of these culture war issues are being predicated upon.
Ooh, you know what?
What if women just stopped working?
That's what I would do.
For, a month.
I would say not just women, but anyone who recognizes that their rights are going to be...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everyone's rights are gone here because they can just magically kick them away now, apparently.
Well, I guess we can just magically stop working.
Exactly.
Hope you like the inconvenience of trying to fill those shifts, because I do believe that women do make up over 50% of the population.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
But that still has to be a coordinated effort amongst millions.
And unfortunately,
you always get scabs.
Well, and unfortunately, there's people who can't afford to not work.
Well,
so if you had a mutual aid, the one thing is an increase in mutual aid needs to happen at any bit of municipal level.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot more, because we rely way too much on the federal level, when the federal level has the least amount of power in our, air quotes, government.
Well, I think that the way if I was a civic leader who had a vocal mouthpiece like Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders or someone, maybe probably even Joe fucking Biden.
Hey, you want to write my shit? I have no problem saying things.
Well, the thing is, I would say to them, the day that this
you want to write my shit? I have no problem saying things.
I would say, look, this was supposed to be announced in the summer. So let's just say July 4th. I am president of the United States or vice president of the United States, and I'm going to say, when this is announced and is fully enacted into the law of our land, as far as this decision goes, we will now, what is it, like the dollar ratio, 80 cents to a dollar? So, like, let's just say that we will not work the 20% of that extra time just to, really make this thematically correct that women are getting fucked over here. So, 2 months, right? That's kind of like 20-ish% of 12. Like, I'm not good at math. 2 months general strike, fuck you until you fix this. And then just, but hey, July 4th, that's going to be the day we celebrate our independence, having privacy and stuff. So why don't you start, collecting your cans of beans now, because this is going to happen. So get your, I don't know what you would call it, dragon's hoard of food or whatever. Because on that day...
Get your nest egg in line and don't use fucking Amazon.
Right. Just get all of your stuff you would need to survive 2 months of not fucking working, assholes. And then that's what I would start doing now. Because that would make sense. Because the only way you can actually hurt people in power is by not buying shit.
Yeah.
But also not making shit.
Or, hear me out, hypothetically, a 5.56 round from an AR-15 at about 50 feet.
Well, I mean, hypothetically...
Hypothetically,
I'm really surprised, hypothetically speaking, that 5 people are going to kill millions of people over the course of their fucking stupid-ass magical thinking. That abortions are not just going to disappear.
Yeah,
like,
people will find a way.
People will find
not a safe way.
A non-safe way.
Is nice. Nothing like wearing 8 belts.
Yeah, getting punched in the gut a few times.
Yeah, falling down some stairs repeatedly.
And I'm going to say millions.
Ending up with a child with fetal alcohol syndrome anyway.
Because
and then you're fucked.
The rate...
And then roll over when you sleep.
Or that.
Someone had done the study about how many abortions are actually conducted in America.
Not many!
Well, that's the thing.
I mean, a lot, but still, it's been declining for the last 30 years.
Yeah,
it's been
with
declining.
Better health understanding of, what to do to avoid pregnancy if you're not looking to get pregnant.
But also less of a stigma around it. And not necessarily in terms of... our courtship proceedings, but in terms of private conversation.
Yep.
There are so many stories when Miss Handmaid's Tale was brought up to the bench of, so many women on Twitter were like, I had an abortion when I was 26. I could not have my life now if I had a child at 26.
Yep.
I was not ready for it. The partner I was with certainly wasn't ready for it, because he's not my partner now.
Yep.
And all of the response was like, yeah, same story.
It was 25% over the lifetime of the person's ability to have children. So 25% of that population has had at least has had an abortion. That's a lot of people that suddenly that medical based service
and also
is no
the fact that
involved.
These rules are so archaic that we have an example in Poland where Poland outlawed all abortions.
Oh, yeah.
Where a woman who was expecting had twins and one went necrotic in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
They would not abort that or the other fetus and ended up to the death of all of them.
Yep, that's
because they had a 0 abortion policy.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, basically.
Wait, one of them was killing the other 2.
So. This is where my brain goes.
Murder happened.
Really dark here.
If a child is fucking a person.
No, it's not a child. If a cluster of embryos that looks like every other goddamn fucking mammal.
But that's what I'm saying is that they consider this group of this cluster of cells a person.
Yeah.
As
much as corporations are a person.
Yeah.
I love that.
They're murdering their mother and their.
I do love that aspect.
Yes.
Can we take his? Sorry.
I do love that aspect about conservatives in America, where if you're not out of the womb, you're a person. And if you're being crushed soullessly by a company and you're only exploited for your labor and what you can provide is also a person, the fuck is the middle ground?
Yeah, I also think that this law is really... I mean, can corporations get an abortion? Is that...
Yes, it's a right to work. They can excise anything they like out of their body, in air quotes, since corporations are people.
Yeah. And we're a family here, but you get the fuck out of here.
Steve, you're aborted. Does that mean I'm fired?
Yes.
We'll get the fuck out of here. We're going to actually abort you.
Sorry,
what trimester would this be? 4,000? Get the fuck out.
And then you hear the shotgun. Just kidding. I think...
No, not shotgun. They still use the same, vacuum thing.
Oh, well, but... My thought I had a really dark thought about this, is that, of course, abortions are now going to be unsafe, and they're going to, of course, fucking occur, and it's going to kill, I would, according to them now, millions of people, because now everyone's a person, right?
26%? I think is what I had of like the average mortality rate of someone who goes after an unsafe abortion.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just fucking. I mean this is so. If I was that person and I had not much to lose, and I'm like, well, okay, who's making this? Who's calling these decisions? And I have a draft leak about their crazy rationale, and I'm also crazy. Like, what could you possibly do? Like, that is not a simple question because hypothetically, there's nothing legally you could do.
Hypothetically speaking, you can legally buy fertilizer and legally buy nitrate and legally buy an acid.
That's not.
Well, that's the
hypothetically.
Hypothetically, the thing that I find upsetting is that the moment it was released, right? Like the barricades for the Supreme Court went up.
Yep.
Like,
they had those up prior to.
Right.
And then they, after the release, put up bigger
more.
barricades.
Yeah, okay.
Put up more.
Unscalable, as they say, which no government should ever have unscalable walls.
No.
No. The government should fear their populace, not the other way around.
Yes, but I don't think...
There were plenty of stairs on January 6th.
You know,
The fuckers climbed up themselves, and some of them fell, and it was funny.
I think
It was
fear.
kinda funny.
I think the fear shouldn't be there at all. I think
No,
there should be.
the government should fear its populace. The government should always fear its populace.
I think the government should act in the interest of its populace,
And then they won't fear them.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right!
That's
so
what
if
I'm
we
saying.
actually,
No
if we
fear.
actually had a good government,
They
they
wouldn't
wouldn't fear the populace.
Yes. So.
Yeah.
So.
But the
no
government
fear.
should fear the populace.
No!
That's why they should make good laws.
God,
Not
you're,
like-
you're doing the stupid like you should fear God argument. I fucking hate that.
No,
argument.
it's
No, government is made of people, and they die hypothetically from a 556 from an AR-15. Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, I agree. And also,
The title of this episode is Hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
I
That's
also-
all.
Hypothetical abortion.
I don't think the government should fear its populace. I think a good government should not have to fear.
Yes, but good government is an oxymoron.
Yeah, and also not fear in the sense for like a government fearing for their lives. It's more like a fear that like you're an underperforming employee and you're talking to your boss.
Yeah, you fear the repercussions. This shit
Yeah.
in a corporate setting would not fucking fly.
Oh no. And
If this went up to any scrutiny of any, if you're a mid-tier trying to get up to that C level, and you write this shit in terms of your business proposal, the board
Would laugh at
would
you.
even meet with you.
Yeah.
And you would get some meeting from your replacement saying your services are no longer provided.
if it's that egregious, your boss's replacement too.
Yeah.
Like this is fucking bullshit.
And maybe
that-
even your whole team is gone.
Right.
You just excised. Sorry, you abort that.
yeah, the whole department is just now liquidated.
Uh-huh.
They aborted them.
Flushed right down the toilet.
So I feel like if I was a customer of this this organization,
Which you are.
which I am,
It's weird.
and yet so therefore like I am subcontracting this
Yeah, but
work.
this is Comcast, and it's the only one you have.
Exactly.
It's a monopoly. There's no.
But it's not the
other
only one you
option.
have, because you have states' rights.
The other option is worse.
But the fact that
Yeah.
it's
It
so you're
is.
stuck
It's
with
such a-
Comcast,
Stuck with
and
Comcast.
you don't have
This-
a fucking choice.
this is such an
Our sponsor, the
exploitative.
U.S. government and Comcast. You don't have a fucking choice.
This is it goes along that Comcast where Comcast can't do that bullshit when they have competition.
Exactly.
And we see now that the Republicans, and Mitch McConnell specifically, played his long game from the John Birch Society and from
Federalist.
every other rich white man who still wants this country to be for white men. Because even if they don't believe that, it's what they're fucking accepting.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the only thing that's consistent with
Right?
the GOP.
It's amazing.
Right.
Oh, fuck, I forgot where I was going.
No, I think that to answer your question, Sarah,
I had such a rant. I was going to get so bad at the end.
I'm seriously looking at, depending on the summer, again, like by the time this is ever going to be listened by Uzbek, it's going to be a year from now. But
America will be 4 countries.
I really hope that like we don't get into this dark age of America. Like, because I thought we were done with this shit as a kid, looking at history books in the late 90s. Like, oh, thank God we're out of that shithole.
There are still high schools in the South that treat the Civil War as the War of Northern Aggression.
Yeah, I feel like there's a joke where if you want to live in the American dream, go to Denmark. Like that's it's like any little bit of false hope that I have is like really surprising. I mean, I'm really kind of, I thought the worst would happen, and which the editor did chastise me for, because I told her like, there's no way they'll get rid of fucking abortion. That's what I honestly thought, and I was wrong, of course.
It was okay with Gorsuch. So you're like, yeah, But his record is, right-leaning. And then you went through the fucking circus of Kavanaugh, of which they could have put any other responsible conservative judge in that situation that had more composure. And the fact that they still went bullheaded through his bullshit cry, I just like to have beer! Sorry, what is that? What is that, Lindsay? Yeah, I know. They're being so mean to me, aren't they? God, they're being so mean!
So this episode makes us scream, and I agree.
And then Amy Comey Barrett of just, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
I'm not even taking notes on your questions because I don't care. I'm going to get on that bench, so,
And also the seat was stolen by Merrick Garland. I mean, not stolen by Merrick, stolen from Merrick Garland.
But that was
by
Gorsuch.
Yep.
And honestly, with what Garland's done as the top of the DOJ, doesn't give me a lot of hope of what he would have done on the court. But he wouldn't have been the head of the DOJ, which means that the bullshit we've dealt with for the last 4 years might actually come to something, as opposed to him protecting the upper class, and we're really seeing the oligarchy that America is when we're casting so much shade at Russia's oligarchy.
Well, okay, the other thing, too, as far as, like, a political solution, is that they could just codify this in law at a federal level.
60 votes.
Well, that's the thing, is that the midterms are coming around, and this is going to be very interesting for me to see. If the Democrats, snatch, defeat from the jaws of victory like they do, and they're going to...
I love doing that.
And they're going to lose the House and the Senate.
Yep. Democrats, the perpetual underdog. Republicans, the perpetual villain.
And if the...
Or victim.
Yep.
Yeah, victim. That's
Because the Democrats are both...
They are the villain.
Yeah.
The Democrats are both powerful and weak at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Schrodinger's power.
No. You vote for us, we'll have power. But if you vote for us, we will be weak.
I think that my...
You have to vote for us because we could change. But after you vote for us, we won't.
That's what I feel like the voters of the people who are supposed to vote for the midterms, if they sit this one out like they did for Hillary in 2016 because she was a shoo-in and besides Supreme Court, why should I vote for Hillary when I'd rather vote for someone else like Jill Stein?
She's spent the last 20 years as a
we're living
competent
the consequences
statesperson.
now.
Yeah.
We're living the consequences now. Well done.
That's why I do like the meme of the Handmaid's Tale. And I was like, I just don't really like Hillary.
Yeah.
She is 10 times more qualified than the other option.
But
What
she's
the
a woman
fuck?
who wanted it, and that makes her bad.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
true. Can't have
So
that.
let's look at Orange Man, who has been lying to us for 30 years in pop culture.
Well, I mean,
who we
10
have
times more-
myriad lawsuits of how he cheats
Oh yeah,
people.
he'll do a good job. He
Okay.
won't cheat us
Well-
or lie to us.
To be fair,
Wait, well, hold on. I can say black people are from shithole countries now? Wait, the president, he said it. He said it.
And yet-
That means that what I think is right, the president said it!
well, also because his approval ratings never went below 30%.
Also never went above 40.
That doesn't matter. I think that it was going to be for me the last break of my sanity, or my faith in this human, at least for the United States. If when the midterms show up and the Democrats lose all their seats and they become the minority party in Congress, even after this whole idea of they're stripping fundamental rights away, I'll be like, well, that's kind of... This is, as George Carlin said, where do you think shitty congressmen and women come from? They come from our shitty communities, of our shitty people making shitty decisions. They don't just come from Mars. The idea that I think that this is a horrid decision on every possible facet, but clearly people also don't. I think it's also rigged too. I mean, Los Angeles County, I think from the recent picture showed that that has more population in that mega city than half the states. Mm-hmm. Just one city.
Well, you look at New York. New York has a greater population than every state but California.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or Texas, probably.
But basically, all this land has more voting powers than people. But still, even then, when you look at the popular vote for Trump versus Joe Biden, that Trump got more millions than last time in 2016.
But we also had 30% more people voting because they didn't have, well, one, they had Trump, which worked for and against it. But two, we were also in the middle of a pandemic, in which case people had the time to look into, as opposed to just giving their faith to the system. A lot of, on both sides, but I think more on the liberal side, want faith because if you're of a liberal thinking mind, generally speaking, you do you, but we have this understanding, is the idea. Mm-hmm. And more, we don't work on that. And the fact that we don't have a set progressive party, but 140 members of the 210 Democratic seats are of the Progressive Party should be showing that that is a viable third party.
Yep.
Because the Democrats are middle-of-the-road corporatists.
Yeah, I mean, they're just...
They don't do shit that their, NASCAR sponsors don't want them to do. Apart from, like, a token Buttigieg as, like, see, we got a gay guy.
Yep. It's like Scott Adams Gilbert. Sorry, I just feel like...
basically.
Yep.
Identify as straight, fuck it.
So these midterms are going to be interesting because I think anyone with a half a brain would realize that being a second-class citizen is nothing to be like voting for to keep it as a second-class citizen.
But Phil, if that was true after 2000, no Republican should have been elected to federal office.
Yeah, well,
ever. But still fucking happen.
Yeah, so the midterms is going to either reaffirm my complete lack of faith in this country, or like maybe it will be a miracle.
I have a bet. The House maintains its Democratic majority, not by much, and we go to 51 elected senators as Democratic. But that still has Joe Manchin, and it still has Kristen Sinema.
All right, bet taken. I'm going to say that you are wrong, and we're going to say we're going to lose both the the House of Reps and the Senate, and that by the time it gets to the midterms, it's going to be the topic of hyperinflation, and we're not going to talk about abortion now. Like, it's going to be an outrage flame that for some reason people are okay living as second-class citizens for the rest of their life.
That depends on, well, I don't know how many seats are up in the Senate, but if you have Schumer actually go in and every month put up codifying Roe, even after Supreme Court shuts it down in June or whenever they will, if he brings up that vote every month, so at least you have a week span where there's that indignation against the senators that say no to codifying abortion as a right, and all of the tangential associations with the right of privacy, and all of the other established law of the land but are not codified, and what that cascade can be, they could have the same type of pink hat midterm 2018 fervor
Could be.
that won the House. But they're not going to do that.
Well,
because that's making too many waves.
I actually think that this is a very... I hate to sound like a person who loves Bitcoin. Actually, this is good for Bitcoin. Actually, this is good for the Democrats. This terrible fucking reading, because I guess I was wrong. I never thought they would outlaw abortion. I never believed they would do that. But anyway, that's where we are today. The fact that it's on the plate now, it to me pushes out all the other econ bullshit that normally people would vote for, right? Like, I seriously thought it was going to be a bloodbath anyway.
The Democrats still have to play into the culture war. But that's home field advantage for Republicans.
I'm going to take your bet. We're going to keep the House. We're going to lose the Senate. But the issue is going to be inflation.
Oh.
What? No, I mean, that's a given. Of course it's going to be.
No.
That's what I'm saying is it's not. The abortion isn't that. That's going to just be swept kind of like to the wayside a little bit.
Well, yeah, they're going to do the one vote in May and then nothing for the rest of the summer when people are actually paying attention to it.
But the focus is going to be inflation, and that's why we're going to lose the Senate.
Yeah.
So what Greg Abbott did last month is not going to be a well enough rebuttal, or just any Democrat being like, the world's fucked. We're going to have to pay more. That's kind of how it works.
And you know what? I think the reasonable, logical people will be saying that.
Well, yeah, because the reasonable, logical people already agree with that.
But there's not that many of them, Micah. Most of them are they don't understand that. They're just like, they're very much like, but what about me?
Stop popping my narcissism bubble and thinking that other people think about the world the way I do.
I don't care about, my neighbor or the, Joe down the street. All I care about is the fact that I can afford to eat. So, which isn't a bad thing to think necessarily as far as I want to be able to eat, but not caring about your neighbor is kind of shitty.
So is there a platform to run on?
But I understand.
Which is...
I need to...
Every American should eat. Can that be a platform to run on federally?
I think it should be. Because fuck this food insecure bullshit. Just food. There should be fucking...
I think you're too ahead of your time. But yes, I think that is going to be a platform in about 6 months from now.
Yeah,
for
where
sure.
there's no fucking food and no one can afford eggs or...
Vegetarian.
Butter.
Vegetarian only.
No, I mean, this is a good thing for Bitcoin. The fact is that...
Here's the thing. When you say yes to this, you get your own bored ape, and you can juice that ape as much as you want.
Line goes up.
Whatever those words mean.
Yeah, whatever that meant.
No, like Impossible Burgers are now actually reaching parity for the price of their fake meat than it is for regular meat.
Because a lot of our farming infrastructure goes to feeding cattle.
They said that in order to stave off the worst effects of climate crisis is that we have to eat 80% less beef.
Yep.
And, you know,
Fine.
Yeah.
honestly,
I haven't had beef in
I only have
I don't even know how long.
I only have beef if it's like a special occasion from someone giving it to me. Thanks, Mom. Like, because I visit my parents
I
once
had
a week.
McDonald's, I guess.
That's not beef.
That's not beef.
Yeah, okay, all right. Then
That's
I haven't
not-
had beef in a while.
Yeah, that's coagulated beef residue.
And I should say I probably haven't had pure, like I haven't had steak or
beef.
or actual like beef that
Yeah.
I've purchased.
I do have a ground beef that I do use in my shepherd's pie.
Yeah,
It's $10,
yeah.
and it'll be $15 next time I make it.
I have
but
venison in the freezer, and then I have this weird set of meatballs that are like
turkey based,
meatballs?
probably.
But turkey's getting
they're
fucking
actually
pricey.
they're turkey, pork, and beef.
Oh yeah.
So it's like
like a
a
hot dog.
trifecta. It's delicious though. And I've had that for 2 months, I think, in my freezer. So that's the only like beef in my
Yeah.
house.
We as Americans need to eat
Red
less
meat.
meat.
Yeah.
Period.
I think this is a conspiracy that I've been having. Is that the
Stop
government?
taking my topic for the next episode, you asshole.
We should eat more bugs.
We should
eat more bugs.
We should eat more bugs.
We should absolutely eat more bugs.
It's too obvious.
Stop it! This is literally my topic.
All right. Well, anyway, I just want to say sorry that I talked so much over you, Micah and Sarah. I'm glad we were able to mansplain everything to you about women's rights, and you didn't really have much of a
Wait, so
conversation.
after
here's-
this,
okay, no,
after this 50 minutes, you understand what your rights are, right?
Right, they're being taken
I'm
away.
gonna be.
Do you know that
mad.
you're?
Okay, so the reason.
We're gonna get
okay,
kicked out
but
of this
no,
house.
but the reason
She
I
was
didn't
tired.
talk, though, the reason I didn't talk that much is because while I am a woman, I also don't have a specific personal to me stake.
Yes, you do.
No, I mean in having a child or not.
It's relevant
Like,
with a lot of
It
these.
is. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying like it.
In terms of these laws specifically, they're taking
See,
out that
he's
rape clause.
mansplaining to me right now.
The rape clause.
He's fucking. Well, yeah, okay.
That's my
That's
point.
that's actually kind
so
of what
yes, but like
I agree with Micah there.
Like that's some shit that is beyond the pale.
yeah,
Yep.
okay, no, that's fair. But I guess like I don't think about having children or having sex or any of that. Like I just don't. Like it's not really. So that's why I wasn't really.
So you got two.
I didn't have a chime in. I didn't have anything to chime in about.
Except for the one thing that you don't like. How do I say this politely?
Don't.
Okay, so guns. I wouldn't ever advocate for violence, but if I was a woman, I would. Hypothetically, if I was a woman, I would hypothetically make sure that my personal security would hypothetically be taken. You know, more of
To a
a
different
driver's
level?
seat
Yeah.
now.
Oh,
right?
oh no! I've talked about this before, but the fact that every woman is mandated to have a gun.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That is the dead man switch to actually making abortion illegal. If abortion is made illegal, no man can own a gun, and only women can own guns.
That'd be great.
If abortion is legal.
I mean, yeah.
With the Y chromosome just banned.
Yep. It's a Y chromosome ban of firearms if
I like this.
the legal right to abortion is made illegal.
So you basically just compensated legal rights of privacy to more rights of firearms, right? Like, because it's like a scale,
This is a
right?
win
This
for
is-
Republicans, I think.
yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, like what, 54% of America is female?
Yeah.
That's a huge untapped market.
Yeah.
It really
so
is.
So many
And
guns
especially if
that can
47% is now illegal from buying that, well, you better buy into that 53%.
I mean, this is just business. It makes sense.
Hell, concealed carries at 6.
Think
You
of
got a
the
couch,
problem.
you can hide it in there.
Think of the profit margins of Smith & Wesson, guys. Like,
Oh my God.
we're making American jobs happen again.
We're bringing back the Derringer. The Derringer. Just for her.
Ooh. Yeah, we'll call it something like...
The
The
Derringer.
Derringer.
Fucking Christ. We had a dad moment there. That was good. It was good. All right.
It was like, oh my god, it's right there.
It's right
You're like the
there.
Darren. Must latch onto this.
God, we're so-
Well, isn't it obvious that we should have more guns in society? Not that, I would advocate for violence, hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
This
Bye,
show
Mom.
should be titled hypothetically.
Love
Thanks,
you.
Mom. I'm glad you had right the abortion
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah, thanks, Mom.
Should have used it on me.
Wow, that's dark.
You know, honestly, I sometimes have the same feeling about myself. I'm like, I would have rather just not been
I don't understand the mentality.
I don't want to be in this fucking
No,
life
I just don't
anymore.
understand the mentality of like
After
people who are happy with life.
conversation.
After you realize that...
I know. I know we're still going. No, go ahead.
Once you realize that you don't decide when you're alive, that's a huge existential crisis of like, what was the thought process of bringing me into this world with, upon looking back, how fucked up the world was?
Okay, so if my children ever listen to this podcast and have that same thought, like, the only thing I could say
Sorry,
about...
guys.
Sorry, kiddos, no. Like, the only thing I could say is that...
You're lucky I sent this to you in an email.
I want to have a better world, ultimately, right? And the only way I can think of doing this is I want to be able to bring in a next generation that can make this happen. I can't do it on my own, and I'm not going to adopt, and I can't even change people's minds that are even my peers. I can't even change my mind about it, but there's something about me that says it's, selfishly speaking, worth bringing life into this cause for that small, slimmer little bit of hope that I could raise people that can make, hopefully in generations from now, this place less shitty.
Half of me is like, that's really admirable, and the other half of me is like, oh, look at you being so adorable over there, thinking that, that's actually gonna work. Sorry.
I have a different opinion on that. I don't know where you fall.
I'm pretty split even there.
I don't know where you fall on the means and trends or great man theory of history, which are you...
it's a Jared Diamond theory of jury's still up for me on that.
Like, Caesar Augustus is only Caesar Augustus because he was the one who did what was going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
Eventually, because if you only reward warlords in this giant metropolis that is taking all of their wealth, eventually a warlord will overthrow that center of wealth.
There is the means and trends, the theory of this.
But that's how history is. I don't believe in the great man of history because nothing makes Napoleon special other than he was the one to do it.
Yeah,
that's all.
I would agree there.
So it's all means and trends. And the means and trends now are the death nails of an incredibly repressive patriarchal society that America has had the illusion of not being. But now it's coming back to roost. Because you have a whole bunch of old white men that are near the end of their lives that are trying to look at the world around them and they don't like where it's going. So they are investing everything that they can, within reason, because, God, they still have to have their caviar, but within reason of the pennies they can chuck out for millions of dollars in order to make sure that what they feel the world will be where it is. And that is doing nothing but adding more heat to a boiling pot. That will eventually boil over. Yeah. We will get beyond all of this bullshit or we will kill ourselves in the process. That is the dichotomy.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I can't argue against... I'm not 100% means and trends. I'm not 100% great man theory. So obviously it's a paradox for me. I don't know...
I knew you liked Elon Musk.
Oh God, no. Like, I actually really like the idea of having an electric car. But now he even ruined electric cars. Like, holy shit, man. Like, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. So, like, maybe the Kia would make an electric car someday. But anyway, no, the Chinese are going to make one for like $5,000 in Biden dollars, guys. That's really cheap.
In Biden dollars, so do nothing but exploit all of Afghanistan's natural wealth.
In Biden dollars, this could... Okay,
that's what America should have done, damn it.
No, this bonus content has gone on long enough. I'm cutting you off.
Your topic is that good?
No.
This topic is just so long.
All right, goodbye.